Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. The University of the West Indies celebrates 75 years. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday, 9th January 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Motor Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. The University of the West Indies, UWI, is celebrating 75 years of delivering higher education to the region. It marked the milestone in Jamaica under the theme, Rooted, Ready, Rising. More from Nicole M. Romney of TV6 News.
UWI's Vice-Chancellor Sir Hilary Beckles described the institution's 75 years as a period of driving economic and social transformation and development. In a pre-recorded address, Sir Hilary said UWI has also had quote-unquote extraordinary achievements.
Academic excellence, success as a fine global university rooted in Caribbean civilization, now ranked number one in the Caribbean world, in the top 1% of the finest universities in Latin America and the Caribbean, and the top 1.5% of the finest global universities.
He credited the success of the university to the funding it receives from governments in the region, while noting that they too have faced obstacles.
There have been difficult and challenging times, but there has never been any doubt. Neither has there been despair. There has never been a call to retreat, not to resign. Our struggle has been spirited and just, purposeful and righteous. The theme that articulates our activities for the 75th anniversary speak to an academy that is rooted, ready, and rising.
And Chancellor Robert Bermudez said the University of the West Indies has prepared over 250,000 graduates from across a wide spectrum of disciplines. He said, a lot has been achieved, but there is still further to go.
Much more can be done and must be done. We will need the active involvement of all members of our community, staff, students, alumni, and those in our extended community, to ensure that the UWI continues to produce the high-quality research and graduates for which it has become known. During this year of celebration and beyond, we'll be calling on you all to work with the leadership of the university to keep in the hearts and minds of everyone the university's mission.
He said that mission is to advance learning, create knowledge, and foster innovation for the positive transformation of the Caribbean. Nicole M. Romney, TV6 News.
Senator Christine Kangaloo is the government's nominee to serve as the 7th President of Trinidad and Tobago. On Friday, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announced the sitting President of the Senate as their nominee. Once elected, she will be sworn into office on March 21st. TTT's Kimberly De Souza has some details.
And the name that we advanced to the opposition was the person who is now sitting in the capacity of President of the Senate, and that is Senator Christine Kangaloo.
Now that President of the Senate, Christine Kangaloo, has been identified as the government's nominee for the post of President of this country, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said the nomination form must be filled in and submitted by Monday. Dr. Rowley revealed that he and a couple members from the government met with opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar and 2 members of the opposition team to discuss the government's choice. Since the opposition did not submit any names for consideration, 12 members of parliament must now sign the nomination papers for the sole candidate. After considering nominees from a wide pool of prospective candidates, Dr. Rowley said Ms. Kangaloo is the best choice for president, having served in that capacity for 7 years.
I am not one of those people who believe that because you have made yourself available for public service, that you have disqualified yourself from further public service. And I am not one of those who believe that because you serve in the parliament, you are the devil incarnate and you are disqualified.
Although Ms. Kangaloo will become this country's 2nd female president, Dr. Rowley made it clear his decision was not based on gender.
She's not disqualified because she's going to be the 2nd woman. We're very happy for our record in this country of recognizing women as equals. It wasn't always so. The public service and other areas, women have done extremely well in our country. And to be able to appoint one after the other, best person for the job, 2 women, should make us all proud.
Ms. Kangaloo must vacate her post in the parliament when elected, following which a new senator will be appointed. Kimberly D'Souza, TTT News.
The United National Congress is strongly objecting to having a sitting politician become this country's next president. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar, Point-a-Peer MP David Lee and opposition Senator Wade Mark met with the Prime Minister and his team earlier today to discuss nominations for a presidential candidate. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar says while they have no objections to Ms. Christine Kangaloo, justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done.
I am of the view that we should not have an active politician holding the post. I told him, give us a little time, we'll consider and we'll get back to him. We went with an open mind to get a candidate who will be a bipartisan candidate who can, bring the country together, can bring some hope and empathy and compassion.
Mrs. Persad-Bissessar has since hinted that the opposition has a nominee of their own and their choice for president would be revealed before Monday.
I'm going to ask the Prime Minister to reconsider the nominee, and I will share with him some other persons we are talking to. I will not share those names with you today, but we'll do so tomorrow, to put forward a nominee of our own. Because we cannot go to that parliament and allow that nomination to just go free.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. With Christine Kangaloo's election now a shoe-in, retired head of the Public Service Reginald Dumas is expressing his concern that the office of the president could appear tainted given that she was once a government minister in the Patrick Manning administration. More in this Elizabeth Williams TV6 News report.
To be watched because I would also prefer a person who would be as impartial as possible in her work, how she sees things. I know that the Prime Minister said that the fact that you were a politician should not be held against you. And we have had politicians like Robinson as president. It is perfectly true. But the country has really become too divided.
Mr. Dumas said following the announcement made by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley on Friday, it appears the decision made by the government is final, as the government has the majority in the Electoral College.
So all we can do is hope that she will behave in as impartial a way as possible.
Dumas said maybe it's time for the country to have a president of the Hindu faith.
We've never had a Hindu president, although the Hindus make up about a quarter of the population of the country. We've had a number of presidents, all of whom but one have been Christians. The one who was not was Nur Hassan Ali, our second president, who was a Muslim.
Elizabeth Williams, TV6 News.
In other news, out of Trinidad and Tobago, a kidnapping by fake police, a massive store robbery, and a fatal police shootout kept police officers busy in San Fernando overnight. In short order, one suspect was dead, 2 suspects were detained, and a relentless manhunt continued for a 4th. TV6's reporter Cindy Raghubartika Singh visited the scene around midnight and brings us the details.
Quick work by officers of the Southern Division and Port of Spain CID led to the death of a suspected bandit and the capture of 2 others on Friday night. It followed an abduction of a woman by men pretending to be police officers, a robbery of a Massey supermarket, and subsequent shootout between the suspects and police. TV6 News understands that a female manager of the La Romaine outlet locked up around 10 p.m. and was making her way home along the northbound lane of the Solomon Hochoy Highway. She observed a white SUV trailing her with what appeared to be police lights, so she pulled aside in the vicinity of the Petrotrin Pond Gasparillo. 3 men dressed in police uniform exited the vehicle and walked up to her Tida hatchback and entered the car. She was put in the back seat between 2 of the men, while the 3rd drove. A 4th suspect followed in the SUV. The woman was taken back to the Massey supermarket, where she was made to go in, open the vault, and a large undisclosed sum of cash stolen before they escaped the scene, leaving the physically unhurt woman behind. The police were contacted and a coordinated effort led to officers of the Port of Spain CID who were in the division intercepting the Tida as it attempted to cross the Golconda overpass. Rapid gunfire reverberated across the outskirts of the second city as a shootout ensued between the suspects and officers around 10:45. One of the suspects was hit and 2 others jumped off the overpass heading for an area leading to the Supero River. Reports indicate a suspect was later held in Retrench Village. It is believed he was parked waiting to collect the 2 who entered the river, while another was captured as he exited a bushy area in Duncan Village around 4 a.m. Saturday. At least 1 other suspect remains at large. The injured suspect has since died at hospital, and investigators say 2 packets of money were recovered in the Tida. Investigators say high-powered rifles were used by the suspects, as spent .556 shells were recovered at the scene. Operations are being spearheaded by Senior Superintendent Smith of the Southern Division, Senior Superintendent Ramkilawan, and Superintendent Parryman of the Port of Spain CID, and ASP Jaikaran and Inspector Phillip. While the identity of the deceased suspect has not yet been released, the 2 detained suspects are said to be from the central area. Cindy Raghubartika Singh, TV6 News.
A former top lawyer at FTX, Daniel Friedberg, is reportedly cooperating with the U.S. prosecutors as they continue their investigations into the collapse of the cryptocurrency exchange. More in this ZNS News item.
According to international reports, Friedberg gave details about FTX in a meeting back in November with investigators. That meeting reportedly included officials from the Justice Department, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. He reportedly told prosecutors what he knew about FTX founder and former CEO Sam Bankman-Fried's use of customer funds to finance his business empire. The attorney also provided details on the functioning of Bankman-Fried's hedge fund Alameda Research. He is expected to be called as a government witness when Bankman-Fried returns to court in October for trial. On Tuesday, Bankman-Fried pleaded not guilty in a New York court to 8 fraud-related charges, denying that he cheated investors and pilfered billions of dollars at FTX.
Haiti has been rocked by 5 earthquakes within a 5-hour period on Friday last, but the Civil Protection Directorate, DPC, reported there was no loss of life or damage.
DPC said that the first quake occurred at 7:31 a.m. local time with a magnitude of 4.0, followed 6 minutes later with a quake of 3.6 and one with a magnitude of 3.9 at 9:11 a.m. Haiti time. The last quake with a magnitude of 2.5 occurred at 1:41 p.m. According to the DPC, the epicenter of the 4 earthquakes was located at 18.82 degrees north, latitude and 74.15 degrees west longitude, north of Jeremy de la Conne, Paraguay, and northwest of Port-au-Prince at a depth of 4 kilometers. The earthquakes on Wednesday were in the same area where on December 28 last year, an earthquake with a magnitude of 4.20 rocked Jeremy. As had been the case on Wednesday, there was also no loss of life or damage, according to authorities. In January 2010, Haiti was rocked by a 7.0 magnitude earthquake that killed 220,000 people.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.